My future DIL demanded that I gift my emerald ring to her as an heirloom engagement ring and called me selfish when I refused. Now she won't get a single piece of jewelry. My son has been with his fiancée since they were 20 and wants to marry her. We are Indians. I'd always liked her before now. She's an intelligent girl, fits in well with the family, is driven, and makes my son happy. Everything was all roses until they got engaged. Since I was little, I have been fascinated with jewelry. I started collecting rings when I was older, married and had income. I would design them myself, ask friends and family for cash to put towards them, and save up my disposable income for whatever ring I wanted. I didn't buy one every year, but over time, I have a nice collection of rings. My favorites are a sapphire with a halo of diamonds, an emerald in a trilogy with 1-count diamonds on either side, and a ruby set in a pave band. After our son got engaged and we invited him and DIL to dinner at home, DIL asked to speak to me. The way she asked was really rude. She first asked me to talk in private because she had something we needed to discuss. This gave the impression of urgency and importance. We left to a separate room where she sat me down and began by saying she'd noticed I don't wear my emerald ring these days, and she wanted it for an engagement gift to me. I am already buying her 10 tola of wedding gold. This was discussed during the dinner, which is approximately 120 grams of gold, along with paying for the wedding, her gown, and myriad other gifts. The gold cost £6,000, which is honestly more than my entire wedding cost, which I still think is significant. So, after all that, trying to take something off my finger was just beyond the pale. She said she'd been seeing my emerald ring over the years and had always wanted one. She pointed out that I wear it least often, which is accurate, and demanded that I gift it to her as an heirloom engagement ring. This rubbed me the wrong way, and I admit I accused her of trying to pick through my estate before I was even dead. I told her the ring was mine, and I could even sell it on my deathbed if I wanted to. She had no right to expect it, and she was being a rude brat by demanding it. She yelled at me that something like this can't just be sold. It should be an heirloom, and it's normal for heirlooms to be passed on while the wearer is still alive. I told her to leave if she was just in my home to demand my property, and she stormed out, taking my son with her. She's mad at me, and my son says I should have passed the ring to her since I have others, and it would be a nice gesture to welcome her to the family. He says it's no different than his sister occasionally borrowing some of my pieces. My husband and daughter are on my side, but this is the first time my son has shut me out like this. Edit. DIL already has an engagement ring. It's beautiful, and I would call it expensive. This is not a case of her being proposed to without a ring. Update. Since that dinner, things have only gotten worse. My future daughter-in-law couldn't let the issue with the emerald ring go. She started talking badly about me to our friends and family, making me sound unreasonable and selfish. DIL had a small gathering with a few close friends and family at her apartment on my son's birthday. Her parents were there too. During the dinner, her parents asked why they were absent, and she told them what happened. From what our friends told me, she said that I refused to give her the heirloom that should be passed on and made it seem like a ring that has been passed on for generations. Her mother, a longtime friend, asked her what ring she meant. She told her about the emerald ring and described it. Unknown to her, I had already told her mother where I got it from when we were having coffee at their house. She told her daughter she might be mistaken and that it is not an heirloom ring. DIL got flustered and told her mother that they should just talk outside, but her mother was having none of it. She's not oblivious to the fact that her daughter has been talking poop about me throughout the evening. They told her how wrong her behavior was and how it disrespected us. They insisted she apologize and make things right. DIL lashed out, refusing to admit her mistake. My son tried to calm her down, but she wouldn't listen. DIL said something mean about me, calling me selfish and saying I wasn't welcoming her into the family. This was too much for my son. That's enough, he shouted. You crossed a line. My mother has been generous to us, and you repay her by insulting and demanding her possessions? This isn't the woman I fell in love with. His outburst shocked DIL. So, you're taking her side now? Fine, maybe we shouldn't get married if you can't stand up to your mother. My son said, maybe you're right, he said quietly. Maybe we shouldn't. With that, he left the apartment, leaving DIL in stunned silence. He called off the engagement the next day, telling both families about their decision. DIL's parents understood his decision. My son also went to the house and apologized to me.